first grade. We are here today to paint our koi fish. So remember we talked about last week, the majority of koi fish are some color orange. Because it is more authentic if you make your own, I want you to try to make your own colors today. So remember, our secondary colors of orange, green, and purple are made by mixing our three primary colors together: red, yellow, and blue. So when you're painting these, try to put your own secondary colors on your paper first. So in order to do that, I'm going to get the color I need wet first. And there are two types of ways I can do this. To paint my fish, I can start by laying down one primary color first, getting that color and applying it very carefully by tiptoeing around my white spaces or around my black lines to make that color start. Then I can do the hula with my brush and get color number 2. And while that paint is wet, on my paper, I can mix that red and that yellow together to make my own orange. And just grab that color and spread it out. That's okay, but when you have a big space, sometimes it tends to dry. The other thing you can do is use the lid of your watercolors as a mixing tray. So load that lid up with a lot of that color. So I can put a lot of this yellow down. Then I do the hula, get my red, and mix it right on my lid. And you can see it turns a beautiful orange. And the thing I like the most about those koi fish are all their different orange colors. So if I put a piece of white paper underneath of it, you can really see that color. And I can apply that and paint with that color. So I'm just picking that color up and putting it where I need it to be. Now sometimes koi fish have spots on them that might be of a different orange, and the cool thing is since I've already got that orange made, if I want to change it to paint a spot or another fish, I can just do the hula, get a little bit more red, and mix the red in with what I already have, and look, it makes a nice dark orange or a reddish orange that then I could use to paint maybe another fish or maybe paint some spots of my fish. So I have a couple different versions of that orange. And good painting takes time. So it's okay if this thing is not finished. It might take us 2 days to fill in all of the spaces, especially since you're going to be painting everything like your fish and your details first, then doing the water last. Again, I'm going to make a lily pad, and lily pads are traditionally green, but I love it when I mix my own color. So again, I'm going to start with the color I want, adding it to my lid, making that yellow. Sometimes you need to get a little bit more water, so don't be afraid to go back in and get that color. I've it a lot. Yellow is kind of a lighter color, so you need a lot of that yellow to make that work. And then I'm going to get just a tinge of my blue and mix it directly on my lid. I love that lime green color I just made. And I can use that to paint my lily pad. And look at how it actually looks almost like it's a fluorescent color. And I'm going to tiptoe around my edges, being very careful to stay in my lines. That black Sharpie, remember, does not resist the paint, but it outlines it, so I have to be careful to go around it to paint the rest of my spaces. If I want to change that green, just like I did with the orange, I can add more yellow to it, or I can add a little bit more blue to it. And look at that. Now my green becomes like a nice grassy kind of green that maybe I can use to paint my water vines. So just taking my time, I can make multiple colors to paint my picture. I'm going to attempt to make my own purple as well to paint my beautiful water lily flower. They're usually a really light purple color, sometimes even a pink. So I'm going to start off with some red, adding that to my color, doing the hula, and getting just a little bit of blue to start with, and I have this beautiful violet color that I just made for my purple. course, once you are done making your own colors, if there's other things you want to make colors for, feel free, because once you've made your own orange, you've made your own green, and you made your own purple, there's still a lot to paint. So you could, if you want to. I know koi fish usually don't come in funky colors. If I wanted to make some purple fins to my koi fish, I can. And you can see how the purple that's in your container is much more of a pinkish purple. You can always change things again by putting the colors together and mixing them on your paper. But be very careful if you're painting wet next to wet that these two colors don't mix together. If you're worried about them mixing, you can do the hula, squeeze with your fingers to make that brush nice and thirsty and squeeze that water out, and then lay him down on top of that color. It's going to pick up some of that color so you don't have as much of a puddle. You can always wait for that to dry and paint over it once it's dry, or just wait for another day. Let's see how I finished my koi fish off.